When it comes to ancient conflicts, few are as iconic or consequential as the Greco-Persian Wars, and no battle within this larger conflict stands alone as powerfully as the Battle of Marathon. Let's delve deep into this pivotal engagement, exploring why it was fought, how it unfolded, and why it continues to resonate even today. Now, before we dive into the details of the battle, it's important to understand the broader context that led to this confrontation. At the dawn of the 5th century BCE, ancient Greece stood at a fateful crossroads as the Persian Empire, the superpower of the age, began extending its influence westward into Greek lands. Under the rule of Darius I, the Persian Empire had expanded from the Indus River to Egypt, from Asia Minor to the shores of the Black Sea, leaving only Greece to conquer to become the undisputed master of the known world. At that time, Athens, a city proud of its nascent democracy, stood as a bastion of freedom against Eastern despotism. The seeds of conflict were sown when Darius sent his envoys to the Greek cities demanding earth and water, a symbolic gesture of submission and a tradition practiced by subjugated peoples of the Persian Empire. Athens and Sparta defiantly refused, igniting the spark of conflict. This was not merely a struggle for dominance, but a clash between two opposing visions of governance and society, the absolute monarchy of Persia and the budding democracy of Athens. With the die cast, Darius dispatched his vast fleet across the Aegean Sea, carrying a massive army of trained soldiers and advanced weaponry. Their destination, the Greek mainland. Now, the year is 490 BCE, and the Persian forces have arrived on the shores of Greece. More specifically, they landed on the plain of Marathon, about 42 kilometers northeast of Athens. This strategic location allowed them to advance easily toward the capital. For the Athenians, the threat was immense. The Persian army not only dwarfed their own in numbers, but was also equipped with superior weaponry, including the deadly composite bow and the intimidation factor of a ruler who had subdued many powerful nations. But amidst this looming crisis, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of the Athenian general Miltiades. With a profound sense of duty and strategy, Miltiades rallied the Athenian forces, preparing to confront the invaders on the plains of Marathon. But what was the true size of these opposing forces? The Persian army, according to Herodotus, numbered around 20,000 foot soldiers and 600 cavalrymen, while the Athenians had approximately 8,000 foot soldiers and 320 cavalrymen. However, these figures are often debated by historians, with some suggesting that the actual numbers might have been closer to half of these estimates due to the difficulties in logistics during ancient warfare. Regardless, the disparity in numbers clearly favored the Persians. Moreover, the geographical context played a crucial role in the strategies employed by both sides. The plain of Marathon was an open field, a stark contrast to the rugged terrain favored by the Greeks. This favored the numerically superior Persians, who relied heavily on their infantry and cavalry to dominate the battlefield. For the Athenians, who had fewer numbers, they needed to be tactical and strategic to compensate. In terms of weaponry, the Persians were indeed more technologically advanced. Their composite bows were more efficient than the bows used by the Greeks, allowing for greater range and accuracy. Additionally, the Persian army was better equipped with spears, daggers, and swords, reflecting their larger empire and wealthier economy. The Greek hoplites, on the other hand, were armored with bronze helmets, breastplates, and shields, providing them with formidable protection. But the quality and consistency of their arms varied, as many were equipped based on personal means rather than state provision. However, the most significant advantage the Persians possessed was their numerical superiority. The sheer size of their army allowed for more aggressive tactics and a higher risk tolerance, since they could absorb losses that would have been devastating for the smaller Greek force. This disparity in numbers is further emphasized by the fact that the Greek contingent wasn't entirely Athenian. They were joined by a small but symbolic force from their allies in Plea, bringing the total Greek strength to roughly 8,320,000 men. This alliance, though, was more symbolic than substantial, as the different Greek states were often more focused on their own interests than a united front against the Persian threat. On the day of the battle, the stage was set for a showdown between two worlds. The Persians, confident in their numbers and technology, and the Greeks, standing firm on the ideals of freedom. As the sun rose over the plain of Marathon, the Persian and Greek forces prepared to engage. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Greeks held firm. Their determination was a testament to their will to resist the encroaching darkness. Then came the charge, a thunderous roar as the Persian cavalry thundered forward. Their composite bows flashed, sending volleys of arrows raining down on the Greek ranks. The Athenian hoplites, well protected in their bronze armor, stood strong, their shields forming a wall against the onslaught. Meanwhile, the Plataeans, though fewer in number, fought with the ferocity of cornered lions. Yet the weight of the Persian numbers began to tell. The Greek lines wavered, and the full force of the Persian army pressed forward, pushing the Greeks back towards their center. At this critical juncture, the Greek flanks, cleverly positioned by Miltiades, sprang their trap. Encircling the enemy, they cut off the Persians' escape, trapping them in a web of Greek steel and resolve. As the battle raged, the Persians, caught in this pincer movement, panicked. The once disciplined ranks broke into a disorderly rout, fleeing for their ships on the coast. But it was too late. The Greek pursuit was relentless, and the Persians, demoralized and disorganized, fell victim to the Greek fury. Thousands upon thousands perished on the field, victims of the Greek determination and tactical brilliance. News of the Greek victory spread like wildfire across the ancient world. In Athens, the citizens gathered in the Agora, the heart of their city, where they received the news. A messenger had run the 42 kilometers from Marathon to Athens to deliver the news of the pending Persian fleet, ensuring the city's defenses were ready. The joy was palpable, a celebration of courage, strategy, and freedom. But the Athenian victory at Marathon was far from a mere military triumph. It was a resounding affirmation of the power of unity, strategy, and the indomitable spirit of those who stood for freedom against tyranny. In the annals of history, the Battle of Marathon has echoed through the ages. It is a timeless narrative of courage, strategy, and the triumph of freedom over tyranny. The story of how a numerically inferior force, equipped with rudimentary technology, faced off against the might of the Persian Empire. It continues to inspire and serves as a beacon of hope even today. The impact of Marathon extended beyond the battlefield. It laid the foundation for the golden age of Athens, a period of cultural, political, and economic prosperity. Under the leadership of Pericles, Athens became a beacon of democracy and the arts, leaving an indelible mark on Western civilization. In the aftermath of Marathon, the Greek city-states were jolted into a sense of unity and purpose. Though disunity would plague them in subsequent years, Marathon served as a reminder of what they could achieve when they stood together. And what of the legacy of the Battle of Marathon? Today, the spirit of Marathon lives on in more ways than one. The annual marathon race, which originated as a reenactment of the Athenian messenger's run, has evolved into a global event, uniting athletes and civilians alike in the name of endurance and commemoration. As we reflect on the Battle of Marathon, let us take inspiration from the courage and determination of those who dared to stand against overwhelming odds. Their story is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience, strategy, and unwavering resolve. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button. Your support means a lot. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more engaging historical tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. The year is for 90 BCE, and the Persian king Darius I is angry. His empire stretching from Central Asia to the Mediterranean has been challenged by a rebellion in Ionia, the westernmost province of the Achaemenid Empire. A coalition of Ionian Greek city-states rose up against their master, but despite achieving some early successes, the Ionians were ultimately defeated and forced to submit to Darius. But several Greek city-states sent relief forces to aid to help, infuriating Darius. The Plataeans were the first to receive the full force of the Persian monarch's ire. But their punishment was only the beginning. The main prize was Athens, and soon heralds from the great king arrived demanding submission. But when the Athenians ignored his demands, Darius unleashed his revenge. In the spring of 492 BCE, a massive Persian force landed at the Bay of Marathon near Athens. Its size is disputed by ancient sources, with the Greek historian Herodotus describing it as innumerable, while others put it at around 20,000 men. We can safely assume that there were certainly more than enough soldiers to decimate the small force guarding Marathon. Sure enough, the Athenians were quickly overwhelmed and forced to retreat to the city. But they weren't alone. The Plataeans, allies of the Athenians, were also pushed back toward the coast. And to make matters worse, the Spartans, who were normally the allies of the Athenians, didn't respond in time to help. So with the Athenian democracy hanging in the balance, the generals of Athens had to make a choice. Should they wait for Spartan assistance, or should they try to beat the Persians with their own? While all the generals favored going to war, the question of when to fight was more controversial. Some wanted to wait for the Spartans, while others thought the Athenians should fight as soon as possible. The generals were split right down the middle until Miltiades, a general from the Chersonese, an isthmus between the Black and Aegean Seas, spoke up. Though not an Athenian, Miltiades had been given command of a battalion of Athenian troops due to his past successes on the battlefield. He argued that the Spartans wouldn't arrive in time and that since the enemy had come to conquer Athens, they must be stopped before they seized the city. But even so, the vote was deadlocked. After 3 days of debate, it came down to the casting vote of the Polemarch, Callimachus. And when he voted to accept Miltiades' advice, little did everyone know how crucial this decision would become. You see, the Persian army was made up of a mix of troops from across the empire. The core of the army was made up of Iranian infantrymen called immortals, who were famous for their discipline and skill in arms. He chose to meet the Persians at the plain of Marathon rather than somewhere else with more advantageous terrain. And once the two armies met, he ordered his troops to advance at a run, something unheard of in hoplite warfare. Normally, hoplites marched forward in close formation with shields locked together, but this made them easy targets for Persian archers. And so, Miltiades knew he had to break their formations before the Persians could shoot their arrows. His plan was simple. He would sacrifice his center and crush the Persian wings. As the Greek troops ran toward the enemy, the Persian archers rained arrows upon them, but the Greeks kept moving forward. When the hoplites got within range, they deployed their spears and charged forward, crashing into the Persian flanks. As the fighting started, Miltiades' troops in the center pulled back, giving way to the troops on the wings, allowing them to face the enemy head-on. Meanwhile, the Persian center, led by the king's brother, Artabazus, surged forward and crashed into the weakened Greek center. The Greeks held firm for a bit, but eventually gave way and fell back toward their second line of defense, where they regrouped. At this time, the troops on the wings had defeated their enemies and were pursuing them. But instead of chasing the retreating Persians further, they wheeled inward, collapsing onto the Persian center from both flanks. This maneuver surprised the Persians, who were already exhausted after fighting against the Greeks. And before long, the bulk of the Persian army was crushed. Those Persians who were still able to fight fled toward their ships. But this was no surprise to the Greeks, as detachments had already been sent to guard the coastline. And so, with the Persians unable to land reinforcements, the rest of the Persian army was destroyed. The Greek army suffered some losses, but nothing compared to the devastation inflicted on the Persians. According to Plutarch, 192 Athenians lost their lives, while Herodotus puts the number closer to 6,400 Persians. Though the Persians had suffered a devastating defeat, however, the Greek victory at Marathon was not because of a superior military force. In fact, the exact opposite was true. The Persians outnumbered the Greeks to 1. Instead, the battle was won by strategy and the bravery of individual soldiers. Miltiades' plan was brilliant, but it required each soldier to perform perfectly. If anyone hesitated or panicked, the whole plan would have fallen apart. It was only because every single Athenian soldier performed his duty that Miltiades could claim victory. The Battle of Marathon changed the course of history. From that day forward, the Greeks proved that they could stand toe-to-toe with the might of the Persian Empire. The next Persian invasion in 480 BCE met the same fate as the last. And soon afterward, the Greek city-states turned the tables and invaded Persia themselves. Ultimately, the Persian Wars ended with the Greeks winning back control of their coastal cities and the Persians ceding Anatolia to the Greek city-states. Afterward, Miltiades was hailed as a hero throughout Greece, having defeated the mightiest empire in the world, but his troubles were far from over. He had made powerful enemies during the war, men like the statesman Themistocles, who blamed Miltiades for wasting valuable time beating the Persians at Marathon instead of letting Sparta handle it. So after leaving public life for a few years, Miltiades returned to politics at the urging of the people, but his enemies had not forgotten about him, and soon they brought charges against him for accepting bribes from the Persians. Found guilty, he was exiled from Athens, never to return again. And so, while he is remembered as a hero today, his legacy in Athens was forever tarnished. Though Miltiades had proven himself to be a great general, his later attempts at military campaigns failed to achieve the same success. During the revolt of the Chians against the Persians, Miltiades sided with the Persians and was able to take the island of Chios with his fleet. But he was soon defeated by the Spartans, losing 70 of his fleet and forced to flee to the Persian court. Miltiades was later killed in an ambiguous incident while campaigning in Thrace, but his reputation lived on. His victory at Marathon inspired awe in the Greek world for centuries and remains the archetypal example of tactical excellence prevailing over sheer force. We hope you enjoyed this episode, with a special thanks to our supporters who make it possible for us to bring these videos to everyone for free. To learn how you can support us and all the perks, we have to say thank you. Visit our support page. Ancient Greece is often remembered for its philosophical achievements, democratic innovations, and cultural brilliance. However, this period also witnessed fierce conflicts, especially against the looming threat of the Persian Empire. The Battle of Marathon stands out as a pivotal moment during the Greco-Persian Wars, fought in the year 490 BCE. It was a clash that not only determined the fate of Greece, but also left an indelible mark on the course of world history. Our story begins in the early 5th century BCE. The vast Persian Empire, under the reign of King Darius I, stretched from the Balkans in Europe to the Indus River in India. Meanwhile, the Greek city-states, though geographically separated, were bound by language, culture, and a shared identity. As the Persian influence grew, it ignited a wave of fear and defiance among the Greeks. Darius wasn't fond of what was going on in his western territories. He received reports about the Greeks aiding the Ionians against Persian rule, which fueled his desire to subdue them. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already, and show your support. In 496 BCE, Darius sent emissaries to the Greek city-states with a message that would change everything. They demanded submission and offered the choice of accepting Persian sovereignty or facing the consequences. This ultimatum was a blatant display of power and a challenge to Greek independence. The envoys waited patiently for a response, and when it came, it was a resounding no. But let's be clear, most of the Greek city-states didn't resist the Persians. Athens and Sparta refused submission, defying the Persian king's expectations. However, these two weren't exactly close allies. Sparta was a militaristic society that preferred isolation, while Athens was open to trade and cultural exchange. So naturally, the Persian leaders decided to go easy on Sparta, hoping to secure a quick victory over Athens. They demanded earth and water, symbols of surrender, and threatened consequences if the order wasn't carried out. But Athens wouldn't bend. Instead, they made preparations for war. Athenian statesman and general Miltiades was well versed in Persian tactics and understood their strengths and weaknesses. His knowledge of the terrain near Athens helped him choose the perfect location for the battle. About 42 kilometers north of Athens, on the plain of Marathon. It was a wide open space surrounded by hills, ideal for a decisive confrontation. On the other hand, the Persian army was so numerous that it was impossible to surround or defeat it all at once, so Miltiades devised a strategy. He planned to beat the Persians piecemeal, focusing on smaller detachments and exploiting their vulnerabilities. The Persian army arrived at Marathon in 490 BCE. Darius's plan was straightforward: intimidate the Greeks into submission and force their surrender. The Persians occupied Marathon with a few detachments of their army and sent the rest to Phalerum, a port city 27 kilometers away. Meanwhile, the Athenians, expecting imminent war, prepared for defense. They formed an alliance with the small neighboring state of Plea, bringing their total troop count to around 10,000 men. Unfortunately for the Greeks, the Spartans were preoccupied with a religious festival and couldn't offer assistance, leaving Athens and Plea vulnerable. Despite being outnumbered, Miltiades was confident in his strategy. He knew the Persian army relied on cavalry, light troops, and archers. His plan was to lure them into the open field where he could exploit their vulnerabilities. As the Persian forces advanced, Miltiades gave the order to retreat, leading them into the narrow pass at the foot of Mount Metamorpho. Here, the hills on both sides of the pass forced the Persians into a single file, making them vulnerable to attack from both front and rear. At this point, the Athenians regrouped and counterattacked, aiming to eliminate the Persians in small groups. Miltiades' strategy was working. He achieved what he had set out to do. The Persians were being defeated piecemeal. The Greeks, meanwhile, were energized by their success, sensing that a complete victory was within reach. Emboldened by their momentum, the Greeks pursued the retreating Persians, inflicting heavy casualties along the way. But despite their initial advantage, the Greeks soon found themselves in trouble. The Persian cavalry was causing havoc, threatening to break through the Greek lines. To counter this, Miltiades ordered the right wing of the Greek army to move inward, bolstering the center and protecting their flanks. Then came the critical moment when the Greek left wing, stationed on high ground, seized an opportunity to strike. Led by the Theban general, they charged down the slope, catching the Persians off guard. This decisive maneuver trapped the Persians, preventing their escape and sealing their fate. With their escape route cut off, the remaining Persians were forced to flee to their ships, leaving behind thousands of dead. Meanwhile, news of the Greek victory at Marathon spread like wildfire. The people of Athens erupted in celebration. The streets echoed with cheers, honoring their heroes who had defended their homeland. Among them was one man who distinguished himself by delivering a message to Athens before succumbing to exhaustion, a legendary runner named Phidippides. He covered the 218-kilometer distance from Marathon to Athens in a remarkable feat of endurance, ensuring that the news of their victory reached the city before his own demise. His effort lived on in the Marathon race, an annual event commemorating the spirit of bravery and perseverance. However, the impact of the battle extended far beyond athletic competitions. The victory at Marathon marked a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. It shattered the myth of Persian invincibility and instilled confidence in the Greek world that the mighty Persian Empire could be defeated. This newfound belief played a pivotal role in uniting the Greek city-states against the common enemy, laying the foundation for further victories in the war. The road ahead, though, was still fraught with challenges. The Persian king, Darius, furious over the defeat, vowed revenge. He reorganized his forces, preparing for a more extensive invasion of Greece. But despite the ominous clouds on the horizon, the victory at Marathon had illuminated a path forward for the Greeks. They had proven that with unity and determination, they could stand toe-to-toe with the greatest empire of the ancient world. The immediate consequence of the Persian defeat at Marathon was a significant blow to their prestige. Darius' plans to subjugate the Greek city-states were thwarted, forcing him to abandon his campaign and return to Persia. The Greek victory instilled a sense of empowerment across the region, fostering unity and cooperation among the previously independent city-states. Sparta, who had refused to intervene at Marathon, now felt compelled to acknowledge Athens' contributions to their collective security. Meanwhile, the Athenian Empire, born out of this alliance, flourished under the leadership of Pericles. Athens emerged as the dominant power in Greece during its golden age, marked by advancements in philosophy, art, and democratic institutions. Marathon also left a lasting impact on the identity of ancient Greece. The battle had established a sense of collective identity among the Greeks, setting the stage for the cultural and intellectual flourishing that defined the classical period. The common threat posed by the Persians had forged a bond among the city-states, creating a sense of unity that transcended their political differences. Moreover, Marathon had profound implications for the course of world history. The defeat of the Persians at Marathon prevented the potential subjugation of Greece, preserving the foundations of Western civilization. Had the Persians triumphed, it's possible that Greece's cultural and intellectual contributions might have been stifled, altering the trajectory of Western history. The legacy of Marathon resonates even today. The battlefield where ancient warriors clashed serves as a reminder of the struggles for freedom and independence. The Marathon race, inspired by the legendary Phidippides, continues to unite athletes worldwide in the spirit of perseverance and the pursuit of excellence. In conclusion, the Battle of Marathon stands as a monumental event in ancient Greek history. It marked not just a military victory, but a triumph of courage, unity, and strategic brilliance. The defeat of the mighty Persian Empire at Marathon had reverberations that echoed through the ages, shaping the course of Western civilization. It was a testament to the power of unity in diversity, demonstrating that disparate communities bound by common values could achieve extraordinary feats. As we reflect on the events that unfolded on the plains of Marathon, we honor the legacy of those who fought for freedom and the enduring spirit of human resilience. What are your thoughts on the Battle of Marathon? Do you think the Greeks would have won if the Spartans had joined the fight? Feel free to share your opinions. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot to us and helps us continue creating engaging content about ancient history. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest episodes. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. In the golden age of classical Greece, Athens often took the spotlight, renowned for its cultural brilliance and maritime might. Yet tucked away in the historical narrative, there is a tale of valor that resonates with the simplicity of a small town standing up for what is right. Welcome to our channel, where today, we lines journey back to the dawn of Greek history to revisit the stirring account of the Battle of Marathon. Our focus today isn't Athens or the Persians, but a small town whose bravery echoed through the ages. This is the story of Plea, a city whose name might not roll off the tongue as easily as Marathon, yet whose role in that iconic battle deserves to be remembered. So let's rewind the clock to the year 490 BC. The stage is set. The Athenians are preparing to face off against the mighty Persian army led by the ambitious King Darius I. Now, here's where our narrative diverges from the more popular accounts. Instead of solely focusing on the Athenian perspective, we're going to explore the lesser-known story of Plea, a small Boeotian polis that stepped onto the historical chessboard during this pivotal moment. You might be asking, who were the Plataeans, where were they, and why should we care about their role in this ancient battle? To understand the significance of Plea, we need to rewind even further to a time before the clash of arms at Marathon. Plea was no ordinary Greek city. Nestled in the fertile region of Boeotia, it boasted a strategic location near the borders of Attica. Imagine a world without GPS, where every journey was a gamble between the familiar and the unknown. Plea's position made it a hub of information, a crossroads where travelers shared news, shaping public opinion and influencing decisions. But its strategic value went beyond just being a well-traveled city. It had a long-standing bond with Athens, forged in the fires of shared alliance and friendship. Now picture this. You're an Athenian citizen in the year 490 BCE. Your city, your home, your culture, everything you know is under threat. The Persians, with their vast armies and imposing presence, seem like an insurmountable challenge. In this moment of collective fear and uncertainty, who do you turn to? A powerful ally, someone who shares your values, your language, your fears, enter Plea. Their decision to come to Athens' aid wasn't just a strategic move. It was a testament to the power of solidarity in the face of adversity. But why is the story of Plea important? Why should we remember them, especially when giants like Athens and Sparta overshadow them? Here's why. Plea's story is a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, one small act of courage can spark a chain reaction that changes the course of history. Let's delve deeper into this. What exactly was the Battle of Marathon, and how did Plea contribute to its outcome? Back in the 5th century BC, the political landscape of Greece was more fractured than a dropped souffle. Independent city-states dotted the region, each with its own ambitions and loyalties. Some aligned themselves with Sparta, known for its disciplined warriors and unwavering commitment to land-based military prowess. Others gravitated towards Athens, a city that dazzled with cultural achievements and dreamed of maritime supremacy. Then there were the outliers like Plea, forging their own path and forming alliances based on convenience and necessity. Enter the Persians, a formidable force with designs on dominating the eastern Mediterranean. To truly appreciate Plea's contribution to the Battle of Marathon, we must first grasp the broader context. King Darius I of Persia, driven by a thirst for power and prestige, set his sights on subjugating the rebellious Ionian city-states. His target, the heart of Athenian influence, Attica. The year was for 90 BCE, and the road to Marathon was the battleground of a clash that would reverberate through history. The Persian army, a colossus of warriors hailing from various parts of the vast empire, surged forward under the banner of King Darius I. Their numbers, according to the annals of history, were staggering. The exact figures are lost to the mists of time, but some historians estimate that the Persian force may have swelled to as many as 20,000 soldiers. Imagine a relentless tide of humanity crashing against the shores of Attica, a sight both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The Athenian forces, aware that their city-state's fate hung in the balance, rallied for defense. But their ranks were comparatively modest, numbering somewhere between 8,000 and 11,000 soldiers. Picture these brave Athenians standing shoulder to shield, their hoplite armor gleaming defiantly in the sunlight as they prepared to face the oncoming storm. Yet the Athenian leadership, renowned for its strategic acumen, hatched a daring plan. Under the stewardship of the Athenian generals, the Miltiades, the city's fate hung in the balance. In the lead-up to the battle, Athens sent out a call for reinforcements, a plea for help that echoed across the nearby city-states. Among those who answered the call was Plea. With a contingent of 1,000 soldiers, these brave Plataeans, led by their strategists, arrived at Marathon, bolstering the Athenian ranks. On the eve of battle, the weight of expectation pressed heavily on the shoulders of the assembled Greek forces. Victory was not merely a matter of pride or conquest, but a fight for freedom, autonomy, and the very essence of their civilization. As night gave way to dawn, the Greek and Persian armies arrayed themselves on the battlefield near the coastal town of Marathon. The early morning sun glinted off their polished shields, transforming the scene into a spectacle of light and shadow. Tension hung heavy in the air, palpable and thick like a storm cloud on the horizon. When the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Marathon was a resounding victory for the Greeks. The reasons for this triumph are often attributed to Athenian brilliance and sheer manpower. But let's shift our perspective for a moment and recognize the silent hero of this legendary battle, Plea. Their 1,000 soldiers were not just numbers on a historical page. They were living, breathing individuals, each with a story to tell. Imagine a young Plataean warrior, perhaps named Leonidas, stepping onto the battlefield for the first time. His heart pounding in his chest, his hands gripping his spear a little tighter, his eyes scanning the horizon for his comrades from Plea. Amidst the cacophony of war, he spots them, a small band of brothers and sisters united in their purpose. Together, they stand firm against the Persian onslaught. In the heat of battle, Leonidas finds himself face-to-face with a Persian soldier. Their weapons clash, sending sparks flying as they parry and thrust. Adrenaline courses through Leonidas's veins as he fights not just for Plataea, but for Athens, for Greece, and for the ideals of freedom and democracy that they all cherished. As the battle reaches its climax, Leonidas and his fellow Plataean warriors find themselves on the front lines. Their discipline, courage, and unwavering solidarity prove instrumental in holding back the Persian advance. It's a testament to their training, their camaraderie, and their unbending spirit. When the dust settles and the cheers of victory echo across the battlefield, Leonidas and his fellow survivors return to Plataea, forever bound by the shared experience of Marathon. The city erupts in celebrations, honoring not just the heroes of Marathon, but Plataea's unsung warriors who played a pivotal role in securing their freedom. Plataea, though small in size, had punched well above its weight, proving that courage and conviction could overcome even the most daunting odds. The battle's aftermath saw Athens emerge as the champion of Greece, forever altering the course of history. In the annals of time, Marathon became synonymous with victory, courage, and unity. Yet nestled within this celebrated narrative lies the often overlooked contribution of Plataea. Their 1,000 soldiers didn't just participate in a battle. They exemplified the spirit of solidarity, demonstrating that even a small city-state could play a monumental role in shaping history. As the centuries rolled on, Plataea's role in Marathon receded into the mists of time, overshadowed by the larger-than-life tales of Athens and Sparta. Yet their legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of those who remembered. Today, we honor Plataea not just as a footnote in history, but as a beacon of courage, a shining example of what can be achieved when a community stands united in the face of adversity. The story of Plataea teaches us that true strength doesn't always lie in numbers, but in the indomitable spirit of those who dare to stand up for what's right. Marathon wasn't just a battle, it was a crucible where ordinary men and women forged extraordinary courage, where small city-states wove themselves into the tapestry of history. And Plataea, oh, Plataea, your 1,000 soldiers may have been outnumbered, outgunned, but they were never outmatched in spirit. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time today. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to show your support. Your likes and comments fuel our passion for bringing history to life. And if you're eager to continue exploring the annals of time with us, click the subscribe button to ensure you never miss an enthralling episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and above all, stay free. For freedom, as the Plataeans knew so well, is a flame that must be tended every day.